All right, I'll call the, I don't have an agenda, the 20th, September 20th meeting of the Water District to order. Would you please take roll?
Bill Manisopoulos,
Present.
Nick Vertek,
Present.
Ken Gambala,
Present.
Tom Nagel, Joe Wizawati,
Present.
Wayne Pondinas.
Present.
Okay, we're going to suspend the regular agenda and move down to public comments, so the people here that came tonight don't have to listen to the rest of our boring meeting. You could stay if you want for the whole meeting, but we'll move down to that, whatever issues that you have and anything. I will ask two things. One is, when you come up, would you state your name and address? And also, if you're going to say something, speak about something, could you do it just once and let someone else, everybody else get their turn? And then after no one else is going to talk, then if you want to say something else, come back up again, okay? Do we want to open the comment, or do you want to make a presentation or anything about what we have here, or just take comments first?
I mean, these maps?
Yeah.
These maps came, we had a meeting with Robinson Engineering, and this is what they drew up. They took I can let Tom talk about it.
Do we, before we do that, you want to do the public comment
I'll
process?
just take comments and then.
So anyone who'd like to come up
Yeah.
and,
That would be fine.
Then we'll make some statements about money, budget, and so forth. Please, again, come up to the podium there, the mic, and state your name and address.
You got the list.
Up here,
Kind of listen.
I only have 3 names.
You have to call them in that
All right.
order.
My name is Dave Zapata. I live 9689 Acorn Drive. So actually, probably will like to hear a little bit about what is your plan, because some of that might answer some of our questions, and maybe after we hear, we have obviously seen some maps right here, some drawings. So that tells us you guys are planning to do something. So that's kind of the reason why we're here tonight. We have all the neighbors down, from the whole area right there, all the 3 streets affected, Acorn Drive, Court, and 96th Avenue. So again, we're here to kind of let you know that we are not happy with all the water main issues that we've been having. So we just basically coming to ask, how you guys are going to fix it, and, how long or before it gets done. So I guess I can start with those 2 questions, and maybe if you guys want to go ahead and kind of show us what you guys are planning to do, that might answer the rest of our questions, and, that can simplify things.
All right, well, I'll take your first question. Is the Water District works on a budget, and that budget's approved with the town budget, which is approved by the state. So we have so much money to work within.
Could you speak up, please?
And we have a budget, okay, a certain amount of money that we can spend in the Water District. That's approved with the town budget, which is approved by the state. So everybody's locked in at how much, okay. We had a program going where we replace so much water main every year in the town. A lot of the town, the older parts is cast iron. And the engineer could talk more about the problems with that. And that's what you have, and I have. I'm in the next subdivision to the north of you. I had 3 water main breaks in the wintertime on my street, okay, and it's cast iron, okay? So, again, we have a program to replace those, okay? One thing that happened this year, we got limited because we got hit with that 2-year mess over there on 41 with the state. We had to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to move water lines and move them back again, and so forth and so on. And that's got to come out of our budget, okay? And we have a bond issue, but the bond issue mostly is for wells, because you can see all the houses going up in this town. We're trying to keep up with water. So the wells are very expensive to put in. Saying that, okay, as far as when this can be done, we have plans already that were done for Acorn. Bobby? That's our Public Works Director, Bob Davis.
Right now with Robinson Engineering, Tom Nagel, so I'm sure you can comment on
Because normally we have to develop the plans and so forth and design the replacement and all of that. I don't know we've been doing the plans ahead of time. I don't know where we're at with Acorn. Okay, as
So,
far as
yeah.
plans for that street.
Let me jump in there and maybe I can add on to what Ken is saying. Your issue just came to light with us recently. We added it to the agenda, had the agenda revised so we can hear what needs to go on and what your concerns are. As far as getting it repaired, we're obviously not going to leave a whole subdivision of people waiting 24 hours for a water main to get done. So we are going to do whatever we have to do financially and get this fixed. So we're going to obviously have the other two that are coming up to ask their questions. We'll jot them down. Myself, the board, Bob Davis, our head of Public Works, and Tom, who's here through Robinson, will also give their insight on it, and then hopefully all your questions are answered. And this is a top priority for us because obviously every weekend you're not looking to not have your water on and be waiting. So I hope that helps out a little bit.
Right. Thank you.
Anyone else? Does anyone else have something, comment? You heat some up
Is there a name on the
that
list?
you were looking for?
Carl?
Yeah, we only have 3 names here.
He's already stated.
Brent Arrigo? Okay. Mr. Peterson?
I would like to hear what you guys have to say before I have any questions.
We
Okay.
could always come back at the end, and
Sure.
if there's something that's not answered or we
that's-
didn't address, we'll go ahead and
That's why I
have
said,
public
we'd
comment.
come up and see first once, and then if you want to say something and get additional. Zapata? That was you, okay. All right, so I guess the first question we're trying to address is when we're, looking at the replacement. Springtime with the winter months coming? Or what is the worst scenario in there where we're having the most problem?
Okay, so the way it's, excuse me, stands right now is basically the streets they mentioned, Hidden Oaks, Acorn Drive, Acorn Court, and 96th Avenue. We were working towards that area to get the mains replaced. We've already done Alcott from Stacy's Retention Pond to 95th to Northcott. We did Belmont from 93rd to 94th, and we came up, and that's where we stopped. Several years ago, we were working on the plans to keep going. Financially, there was no more money left, so things were on hold. We just bonded last year, I believe, was when they closed on it. We had water main projects within that bond. It went out for bid, and with COVID and the likes of everything going on, it was rejected, put and tabled. Okay. In the meantime, we had a break over on Acorn Court, and human error caused some issues, which is where we're at right now. The main over there is approximately 50 years old. It's ductile iron. It should be about 75 years, but you can't bet anything, just like a car warranty. You don't know. So that's where we're at right now. It's 6-inch main. It's paper thin. We're doing the best we can to keep up with the breaks. I understand where they're coming from. Our guys don't want to beat out there either, 24 hours trying to get these things fixed. But we are trying to speed up the process, working with town manager Wizawati, Tom Nagel from Robinson. We've already started preliminaries. They're out there doing some design work on it, surveying. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm sure Tom will speak on the rest. But again, it's all of Hidden Oaks, and we're aware of it. And again, we're doing the best we can, and hopefully you can stick with it.
Hey, Bob, other than this last incident where we had multiple breaks at the same time, when did these problems start on Acorn? That way the board knows also.
Besides
Besides, your
the last, say, 6 months,
Yeah.
we've had them scattered throughout the years. I mean, just one here and one there. Just like every place in town with their older main. So as they come about, we kind of know where they're at, so we know, like on Mr. Gambale Street, Belmont, we had several there in the span of 2-3 years. It was like every other weekend. And so that was put on a list. We tackled that one. We tackled Alcott. So it's pretty much based on if you had a map and you want to take pins and just put, every time you had a break, where they're at, that kind of will show you where we want to focus next.
What has happened over here in the last month as far as breaks and the multiple amount of breaks? Meaning, how many have we had in the last 30 days?
In the last 30 days, we had 2 breaks over in Hidden Oaks.
And how long were the residents out of service?
That, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look and see when the crew showed up. And then again, when, but you know, they show up and they start digging and then they finally turn the water off. They
I understand the
So,
process.
I don't
just-
know.
Well, they gotta wait for locates too, sometimes
I don't know the
locates.
exact time frame that the water was off.
I understand how long locates take and how long it takes to dig. I'm asking how long the residents were without service. That's what I'm wondering. We don't know that?
I don't know. They
You
don't.
know that, sir?
Last one was about from 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning till about 2 o'clock the next morning. That was the last one. We've had one, I think, was stretched longer than that. I just don't remember the dates and how long it was. It was significant.
And they had, in that situation, in the last one, they had a break. They got it repaired, turned the water back on. And again, due to the condition, we took all precautions. They did, all precautions, and it still blew out another spot in the main. So now you're back to square one, shutting it down, starting all over.
And this is why I had brought this to the attention with Bob and with Tom, that this is a priority. This should be, our number one priority right now is getting this resolved. And I know Tom's put some preliminary stuff together, if you want to have him kind of go through that.
That is also one of my issues, is that it's September 20th and this board is giving this information right now live, and maybe a couple days ago. We were under the impression that it was a main break here, a main break there. It wasn't until some of the residents reached out and.
Oh, no, this
talked to the
has
extent.
been a priority to be brought to the board. Absolutely. There's other items I would like to discuss with the board tonight as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know Tom and I work with Tom and they're fine. He's a fine engineer, but this board and its engineer that it has appointed from January of last year till January of this year wasn't informed until we got here. That's a conversation for later. We're not going to bother them with it. So we'll let Tom make his presentation for now.
So what we were told about the problem, I looked it over.
Could you go up to the mic? Or you have one now?
Okay, so working now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening. So we were told about the problem about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago. We looked it over with Mr. Davis. We've seen the multiple patches in the road. We investigated the age of the water main. There's no reason why this water main should be failing at this young age. It is, but it is what it is. So we got to address it. We measured up the quantities. The project's going to cost probably about $1 million. There's like 2,500 feet of 6-inch water main. 6-inch water main was the standard back in the 70s and the 80s. It's no longer allowed now. We're going to come back with an 8-inch water main, which will increase fire protection and flow for you. That's what the standard in the community is now. The timing on it, if everything works out, if everything is allocated on it, we would get the plans done within 2 or 3 months, get the permit done within 2 or 3 months from IDEM on it, go out to bid in spring, late summer, and in the summer it should be completed. That's if there's money allocated for it, and that's if IDEM does a review of the plans and specifications in a reasonable time. IDEM is the agency that oversees the water systems in our state. So there's nothing lackadaisical about it. It's a very, very aggressive schedule we have. That's where we stand. That's the honest truth on it. There's no magic bullet. We're going to get it replaced in 2 or 3 months. It's going to be next summer. And it's just because of the permitting process and the design process and the bidding process.
And you got to understand, if we try to work in bad weather through the winter months, it's going to be much more of a mess on your yards and the front and your street, and we can't replace the concrete that we have to take out. It's And some of this is in the rear, right? In the rear lines,
There's one section.
going
yeah.
backyards.
Are we looking to reroute that so it's not in the backyard any longer?
No, that's an excellent point. If I walk over there, like I stay by the mic, I could just show easily on that.
Give me a mic to walk with.
Okay. Sorry. That's an excellent question you brought up. We are not gonna, I'm gonna tell you how we're gonna address it too.
I was just talking based on where it is now.
Perfect. Okay.
'Cause They were loops, I believe, that's why.
So there is one section here that's in a side yard, okay? That we're not going to be doing a replacement of. We're keeping the existing 6-inch water main here. There's a development occurring in this area is going to pick it up in that location there and down that location. Then we will abandon that portion of it. Everything else is going to be in the right-of-way. So that's going to be the one side yard. If you go down a little bit, Jason, there's one more connection we're talking about too. It's this section here. This will no longer be needed because we're tied in down here in the bottom. So any place we have a side yard, we're going to be eliminating it. Every place that we have right of way, we're putting 8-inch water main in location on it. There's also discussion of a lift station right here that could be abandoned on it, which we're looking at that too. Simultaneously, as we're looking at this now. It's a sanitary sewer lift station there. What's that, ma'am?
We have a lift station in our backyard.
Okay, that's a private property one. This one is a community one where all your sanitary sewage flows down to this location here, and then from there it's pumped over on it. But now we got an opportunity possibly to bring it into a sanitary sewer here with gravity. So while we're doing the field work for all this, we're going to check the inverts of that, the inverts of this, and see if we get that to work. Sure thing.
Can you hand the microphone to the speaker, please?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Can you hand the microphone to the speaker, please?
Sure.
No, the one we have is in our backyard when they had the septics. So we have an injector pump and it goes way up a hill and now down to Acorn Drive. And it- Or actually it goes to another pit up top and it gravity fed down.
That's private property.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're not going to touch that.
I know
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
That property that you spoke about, that's the Schilling property now, correct? On this side over here?
That's what Jason would know this better than Joe knows, but yeah, that is the Schilling property.
Because what I was told
Yeah,
by
it's
one of
Boney
the town
property.
workers, that they would possibly run the line over here, the 8-inch line, rather than doing it on my property. Because that's where the loop is.
Where's your property at, sir?
I'm on 125.
Keep going
This
down,
guy?
Jason. He's got the next street, right there.
Over here. So this is Schilling property now.
Yes, sir. So what's going to happen is Schilling's going to extend this road here, but they're going to put a cul-de-sac back there. The preliminary plans are that. They're tying into this cul-de-sac here, but their water main's going to loop into here. We're going to pick it up at this location, abandon this section of 6-inch. We're going to be done well before Schilling starts. Schilling's, they've told us preliminary, it's years out.
So this will also be 8-inch?
No, sir, this will be a 6-inch. We're not going to replace this because we're going to abandon that. Once Schilling ties on, we're going to abandon that. And that's one of the problems the Public Works has, and Billy could attest to this too, is that side yard, rear yard easements, utilities in the rear yards and side yards are hard to maintain. Now we got an opportunity to loop this section back to here and not needing this. Yes, sir.
So what type of repairs are being considered? Just replacement of the lines, the roads, the sewer, everything? I mean, what is actually being considered done?
So the question was, what kind of repairs? The repairs are replacing the water main. We got a price in there for replacing the water main for about $1 million. The roadway is a different cost that I presented to the town, see how they want to handle that. Sanitary sewer, we're not touching with the water main job. But we are looking at the possibility of abandoning a public lift station in the future on it. So ideally, all the moons align. We could do all this work at once, get in and get out, and then you're good for another 50 years. That's what the hope is. I'm not either. I want my jobs to last that long. Any questions, folks?
Is there any kind of temporary repair that we can do along these lines where it may have broken multiple times in a certain section to give them a little bit of relief until we pull all the permits for IDEM and everyone else?
I would say no, but it's up to Bob Davis. I would say that we just got to react to the water main breaks and try to minimize them the best we can. Bob Davis and I talked about this. There's possibly something with the pump station that could have caused it, maybe a surge. There wasn't. It's just the nature of the beast of this subdivision with the water main. The water main should last at least 75 years, and it's not. And with the number of patches you have in the streets, I think there's like 10 out there. I mean, it's got to go out. There's no way of patching it. There's more than 10? Yeah. Yeah.
There was 11 back in May.
Okay.
11, this last time was 3 more.
I'm just wondering about the nature of how you're going to replace the main. Are you going to be trenching or boring, or how are you going to do it?
At this time, my gut tells me we're going to do an open cut on it, okay? But we don't have the topography done. If the topography states that we need to auger some locations, we'll have to auger it, but we don't. But normally, it will be an open cut, so. Yeah, here you go.
I'm sure you don't have the answer to this question, but, and I understand that you put out a leaflet as to how safe the water is, I assume, as it leaves the pump station or whatever, where the water comes from. But in our house, when we turn the faucet on, what kind of water are we getting at that point? I've had an in-house, a whole house filter for about a year now, and the first time I pulled the filter, which is about a year ago, there was a tick actually attached to the filter. Is this something that should have been there? You know, you can't stop that, or is it telling me that I should be concerned about the water entering my faucet?
I think Bob's got a comment on that too, but my opinion, I'm a water operator also and a professional engineer. The water leaving the plant meets IDEM standards, meets all US EPA standards. And what you're talking about is the leaflet. It's a consumer confidence report that goes out every single year stating how well the water system is doing. You have a water main break, it's going to agitate the pipe. There's a lot of rust and stuff inside there. You can be sawing into it. Obviously, they're going to be flushing the best they can. But I would say that that's kind of standard for when you have water main breaks, is that you're going to agitate the inside of the pipe, and it's going to get into people's whole house filters.
This was before we had the problem with the water, at least for about a year before that.
Okay, I couldn't answer that. Besides that, if a water main break occurs here, it still could get into your subdivision. It depends whatever direction the water's flowing. Here we go.
So in sections where the water main travels underneath our driveways, how do you handle that?
If we do a replacement, if we do an open cut, we're going to replace the apron, okay? We're not going to saw cut the driveway and have like a 2-foot patch and a 3-foot wide patch for our water main and a 2-foot patch where the curb is or where the walk is. The apron will be replaced from the edge of the curb going back to where the right-of-way line is. And from what I can recall on this, some of the water mains in the parkway, which is the grass, or where the driveways, and some of it's in the road. So, but when we get done with the topography and we know where the sewers are, we'll be able to better position the water main. So. And we're doing topography now on it too. You might have seen crews out there working. So.
Just, I think somebody mentioned earlier about mowing the grass. How long do we have to leave these flags in the yard?
Bob, you want to handle that one?
Well, it depends.
I would.
So it depends. They're doing survey work. Usually when we call in for locates, it's 20 days that they have to stay. If I was doing any digging before that 20th day arrives and I'm not done, I'd have to call for relocates. So just figure about 20 days. But if Robinson Engineering gets out there and completes their work, then you can pull them. I don't know how far they are on that, but they have to stay for a little bit. I mean, there should be paint on the ground also. So if you want to pull it, cut the grass and put the flag back where the paint mark is, we'd appreciate that. And
It just helps us. It helps us locating where the water main goes, too.
I'm all in favor of it, I just, you know.
Okay.
Leaf season is coming
Yeah. I could tell you, folks, we'll be done in a couple of weeks with our field work. We started already. I think I have 2 or 3 weeks. And if not, I'll make sure, obviously, Bob Davis is going to know what our schedule is going to be, and somehow we could communicate with you on it, too. Thank you.
Did you make your comments there then in the audience? Does anyone need to come back up or? Okay. Any more questions? Yes, ma'am. Can Tom, can you get the mic over to her? Or you want to go over there? You can go over there, right there, the microphone.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
My name's Jean Mazzico, and I live at 12480 Acorn Court, right in the heart of this activity. This is the 3rd or 4th break in my house. I mean, 2 breaks went back many years ago, and they were fixed, and everything worked fine till this spring. But I'm wondering, what if this happens again in the winter?
Well, they still go and repair them in the wintertime, because the 3 breaks I had were all in the winter. And instead of my mailbox getting hit by the plow, it was hit by the backhoe. But wasn't saying that it was, and it's all in almost the same area. It's for some reason, the soil in this ground too, I was told years ago, it's changed, has problems with cast iron, with metal. So that could have something to do with it. I don't know why it's failing so quickly. When he said it should have a longer life, but what it is what it is. It's failing. But the winter time, to answer your question, and Bob can tell you, is they go 365 days a year repairing water main breaks. They don't just wait.
I know
for good.
they're really hard-working guys, and I feel badly for them down there in the trenches. But
It's tough work, but
Yeah.
they do it in the wintertime.
okay,
We have to. We can't let it. We'd have an ice skating ring on the street if we didn't. You know, it doesn't take long for the water to fill it up.
okay, thank you.
Okay, does Joe, you have any more to add? Wayne?
Not on this matter, no.
No, I think the price of the C900, that went sky high, and trying to get contractors to do the work, that could be maybe a problem. We had that problem on 41, so
Yes.
you never know what's going to happen. Everything's gone sky high on that C900, which is the water main that we would use.
We're having trouble getting pipe. Pipe was scarce there for a number of months.
Yeah, it was hard to get.
We had bids on 85th Street water main just to see at the cost, and it came in 3 times the engineer's estimate. And we only had 1 bidder. And they told us that you can't get help, you can't get workers, material shortages. You know what's going on with the economy, I don't want to tell you. So, Nick, Billy?
Yeah, so, Tom, just real quick, just so everyone understands, could you just give us a rundown of our, this is what we're looking at now, this is when when we're gonna apply our permit, just so we can have a little bit more of a timeline for everyone who's here and who is watching at home or will watch this later.
Okay, so the design's going to take about a month to get the topography done and 2 months for doing the design work. After that's done, we're going to submit it to IDEM. IDEM has to give a response within 90 days. With the pandemic and the lack of workers, they're really backed up. Normally, a water main job would not take a 90-day review time, but we could push them and talk about the severity and pray and hope and, coax them along as best we can. So we got 3 months after that, we're ready to advertise once the permit comes in. We can't advertise or construct it till the permit comes in from IDEM.
How long, just to that point, how long would it take for design completion?
Okay, the advertisement and bidding process is a month. After that, it get insurance and contracts from the contractors a month, and then the build this should be about three months.
Right, but I'm talking for design, not for construction.
For the design?
Yeah.
Approximately 90 days. Yeah. And that's where the first month is taken up with the topography.
Right.
And the utility locates too.
If there's any conflicts or anything like that.
Right.
Anyone else have any other questions before they move on?
Mary Zapata, 9689 Acorn Drive. I want to thank the Public Works Department. You guys have really done a nice job given the circumstances. Your guys are making all of them look really good. They are working diligently. They've been very friendly with the neighbors, and I have to give them props for that because they're dealing with some very unpleasant conditions, and I expect that the winter is going to be a lot of the same.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're going to probably get more grief, so I figure you better get your accolades now. As a neighborhood, if we have questions, who is the best person to go to? Should we keep coming to meetings? Is there a contact person that we can get information from?
So we encourage you to come to all the meetings if you have any questions. Obviously,
Okay.
the more people we see, the better.
We meet.
Any direct questions, I think you would send them over to Bob. He should be able to answer those.
Town manager's available. He works full-time all day, and Bobby's out in the field a lot.
Okay.
So his office will take your call.
So, 1, 2, 3.
Okay. All right. No,
So if
that
you're not
sounds
getting answers, this is the form, you bring that.
And
okay.
again,
That sounds fair.
if you want to wait for the monthly meeting, I would say we meet every third Tuesday.
Right. And we do understand that sometimes things come up that need a more immediate attention. So we just want to know who we can go to with those concerns.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for addressing all of this.
Not a problem.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. Thank you all for coming. I feel for you because it happens to me over on Belmont. So it's a bad situation. You're out of water. Unfortunately, it happens at the worst time. You got a shower going or something and company over and you don't have any water. It's tough. So as we said, we're making this a priority. We have, again, a list of replacements. This is on the top, and we could go only as fast as he said. He outlined it for you, but it will proceed. It won't be put on the back burner.
Coming up.
Ronald Peterson, 12539 West 96th Avenue. I just have one suggestion. Could we be updated on the St. John website, the Public Works, so we know where we're at with this? Is that possible?
So I think as we get our updates to this board, I don't think it's a problem with, and Joe, if I'm speaking out of turn, any actual updates to post it on our town website?
Yeah, so I think we could probably get everything posted through, obviously, social media, but also on the website as well. For major projects such as this, when we're spending $1 million, the public does obviously have a right to know how the money's getting spent and when it's getting spent. So absolutely, I think that's a great idea.
All right, we have the agendas yet? And one? I don't have one. That's the old one.
No, this is the revised one. See, it's revised.
Okay. All right, if not, we're going to move on to our regular agenda. You're welcome to stay. All right, approval of the minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Nice meeting you.
We have the minutes for August 16th. Are there any questions or additions to the minutes?
This is two.
Nick, Billy? None? I'll entertain a motion.
Like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Thank you for coming.
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor? Just say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion unanimous. Okay. I'm going to turn item A over to Joe.
Good.
So, this was something that was discussed with respect to wells 8 and 9, and I'm going to actually have
Thank you, Bobby, for coming tonight, too.
Tom speak about this as well. And I know we discussed this kind of with at the meeting with Wayne as well, so if you would.
Sure. So while doing the test pumping on well number 8, test on well number 9, there was an indication that there was an interference with the hydraulics of wells 6 and 7 at the gates. And so with that, we need to do a study on it to see what is that interference going to cause so we could set the well pump at the proper depth. If we don't do this study, we take the risk of the well pump being either too high, which means we have a chance of sucking in air and getting cloudy water, or the well pump being too low, which means for perpetuity, you'll be paying more money to use more horsepower to pump the water. And the interference study is $23,500. There's a caveat on that, and the caveat on that is Mr. Davis has got to make sure that we could pump the waters at the gates into the system while we do this. And that means that we have to have the system ready where we can have the gates well pump run for, say, 24 hours, as opposed to discharging the water on the ground. So there's a little bit of cycling we got to do to make sure that we minimize any kind of waste on it. Obviously, pumping out of 8 and 9, we're going to discharge that on the ground, but the gates wells, we want to make sure that, and we got to work with Mr. Davis and his team, that the elevate tanks are low and can take the water as we do it. We want to pump it hard. That's what we want to do. We don't want any minimal pumping on it. We don't want to go on and off, on and off. We want to go straight running on it. And that way we get a true indication how the aquifer is going to react with the reaction of these wells.
And we're going to be looking at all of the wells on our system? Or
No,
is
sir.
this just the gates wells? Is
Just
what
the
we're
gates
looking
wells
at?
with 8 and 9. Those were the ones that we're seeing the influence from it. I think it's money well spent. The reason I think it's money well spent because the design of the well pump is going to decide on it. And if we do set it where the water table drops when all 4 wells could be running, we could start getting a cascade of water into the well, and by cascading the water, it entrains air. And that's where you get the cloudy water coming out, and that's when nobody wants cloudy water, obviously. So.
That's more than I wanted to know about water.
Was it long-winded? I apologize.
No, I mean,
I
it's just-
can't help
No,
myself.
that's fine.
I love talking about water. I can't help it.
That's fine.
There's a whole geology of it.
Well, what's your flavor, John? Billy? Go.
Make a motion to approve the well field, safe field assessment.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, since we're spending $24,000, roll call.
Nick Furtek,
What's that? I was reading this.
aye or nay?
Oh, aye, yes. I was reading this. Sorry.
Bill Manasopoulos?
Aye.
Ken Gambala?
Aye. Motion carried. You're going to handle executing this.
Yeah, we'll get the document executed and get that ready to roll. The next thing up for consideration, but not for approval tonight, there was the hydraulic study. Did you want to kind of talk about that too? For the
entire
yeah,
town?
yeah. I know there was some discussion on that.
Right.
And the absolute necessity to get that done quickly.
Right. So what we've been doing is that there's a lot of moving parts to your system, obviously. You know that you're buying water from Schererville right now, and you also have 2 wells that are ready to come online. There's treatment options to decide with that. There's also integral piping that's got to be decided with it. And it just doesn't seem, in my opinion, there was a master plan on it. And when we made a recommendation to Joe was that we should put together a master plan. So we do have developments coming in. If they got to upsize their 12-inch water main to a 16-inch water main, we have something to hang our hat on. Not just a gut feeling. We've been through this before with developers where we say, we need a 12-inch water main. Well, why? Well, because we think it should go there. Now we have a hydraulic analysis done on that, and that's what we think should be done. We want to do the same thing for your sanitary sewer system. We want to be able to have plans in place for when the south part of town starts developing and the western part of town keeps on developing, that we are in a position of power and knowledge to have the developers do what we want. Okay, not just put the bare bone minimums in, not just put the 8-inch water main in and the 8-inch sanitary sewer and have a lift station. We want to minimize our lift station use. We want to minimize the smaller diameter mains when we need an arterial main for the region as regional significance. And that's what we're looking at now. We're looking at putting a cost together on that and to present it to Mr. Wizawati and see where it goes.
And then we'll present that back to the Waterworks Board too.
Okay.
Would we think about changing the subdivision control ordinance to, because right now it's 8-inch? Could we put some wording in there that it's up to the town whether it be 8 or 12?
That's a great point. And what it should be, the ordinance should be that there are regional mains that have to go in, and whatever that size is. And by having this master plan in place where we show the spines, let's say the 12-inch spines going north and south and east and west, and the individual subdivisions could have the 8-inch like we're allowing now. But it's just hard pressed to ask a developer to do that without some kind of study to say that they should be doing it. Sometimes they just do it because we ask them to do it because they see the logic behind it. And sometimes they bring their lawyers into the meeting saying, you can't force me to put this in. So it's nice to have this type of study we can hang our hat on.
If we have the study and we have the subdivision control ordinance where we can say, because of this, it's a main transition line to feed these subdivisions, we wanted a 12-inch or we want a 16-inch.
Right.
Right.
That would be a lot. And then if the wording's all done, if we have it done with the lawyer, that's great because now you got something to fall back on.
Right, but
Absolutely.
I think there should be some latitude to allow the engineer to make that interpretation instead of letting, a
But it
zoning
still
board
has
or
to be
something
an
like
ordinance, doesn't it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would push for that.
Be an ordinance.
But Wayne, in the past, when this has occurred in various towns we work in, it's our recommendation. We've got to stand behind the recommendation as to why. The developer knows he's going to fight this. It's not going to go out good, could be good for him, and he probably does it anyways. But having that tool, that planning tool, where the developers could see this walking in the door, it stops a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
It stops a lot of arguments in the future. And also, like I said, they bring their lawyers in and they start talking to us, so.
Okay. Okay, I guess we'll move to old business. Any old business for the board? Joe? No?
No, I have nothing,
Okay.
Ken.
Reports and correspondence, project updates, Wayne, Joe? What we got on 41?
Skated, 41, I think they're chlorinating the water main now. And they have 2 tests for it to clear, and I think that'll be okay. The sanitary for that, the sanitary line is all put back together, so it's just a matter of waiting for the testing place in Maryville to tell us the water's good, then we can turn that back on. So,
Okay.
that's all good. The sanitary system the sanitary panels for SCADA system are done. I think they're gonna start installing pretty soon. And, Rich was out there for a meeting that they had at Austin Electric. He liked it. I think they answered a lot of his questions, so that's good.
SCADA's done on the water side except for
Yeah,
adjustments.
they were tweaking some things, but yeah, it's over with, done.
Okay. And I guess we'll move to payment of the bills. All right, on the water utility APVs dated September 20th, we have, where are my glasses? Is that 1,196,234? Is that correct?
40 cents.
And 40 cents. Got a big one this time. Any motions? Okay.
like to make the motion to pay the water APVs as presented.
I got one question on on all these supplies that are 124,000. Is that?
What are you talking about, Kenny?
Is that a yearly supply, a monthly supply?
What are you looking at?
Well, I noticed this number of, a chlorine supply, Gates chlorine supply, 124.
Yeah, I think we're using more chlorine
That's,
because we were using all that water. I mean,
okay, but,
it was hard to get the chlorine delivered. We're getting like a delivery once a week now, where it was a little bit, spread out. But yeah, from what I understand, the chlorine is coming once a week.
yeah, I'm sorry, you had a motion to approve?
I did.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried unanimous. And we have a water district APVs of $26,426.29. Most of it's NIPSCO and payroll.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the accounts payable APV as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by
Aye.
aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimous. Now we had our public comment and the public back there.
Mr. President, may I
it's
say
not
one
public.
quick thing, please?
What's that?
May I say one quick thing, please? I'm sorry I didn't speak up in the earlier portion for the reports and correspondence, but I just wanted to let you know that we filed the paperwork with NIPSCO, and we were approved for a $38,000 and change rebate as for installing the variable frequency drives for wells 3, 4, and 5. So that check should be coming in the next 30 to 60 days.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, it's 30% of the overall cost of the installation. They're projecting a total return on investment of less than 2 years in electrical savings. So hopefully we see that soon.
Sounds good.
Also looks like they replaced half the poles in town, which is good. There's a lot of power pole replacement going on. Okay, no further business?
No, I have something before we adjourn. This board, this water board, has Haas and Associates as its engineer. I've worked with Robinson, and I currently work with Robinson and have no problem with that. I just want to know how this board found out today at this meeting that Robinson is sitting in on our meetings as opposed to Haas, with no prior knowledge from, and any knowledge that we had before coming into this meeting today. Anyone? So no one knows. Tom just showed up and. Bye. Tom, this was not you. I understand you didn't come here on, out of the blue and decided to do preliminary work for us. I get that part. I know you were invited. At what point is someone overseeing this board and this board's decisions without asking us what's going on and involving us?
Well, the town council made the decision to make the change on it. I asked Tom to come tonight to discuss the matters on Acorn.
It had nothing to do with Tom.
Right.
I
No,
understand
I know
Tom
that.
was asked to come here, but the town council decided to change our engineer.
The town council made the decision to change the town's engineer.
At what point is the town council, Wayne, you sit on the town council, I'm pretty sure that this board has its own authority to hire its own engineer, who we did at the beginning of the year.
I don't know that to be the case.
And
I was told otherwise, so.
told otherwise by who?
By who?
By the attorney.
So, again, there's conversation going on that directly affects this board. And this board, myself, Nick, or Ken, were you in any of these conversations?
No.
No, I got verbally that there was gonna be a change. That's all.
I'm sorry?
I just, in conversation, I don't know how I found out there was going to be a change.
So,
There was nothing formal that I saw.
okay. So, again, who's making these decisions for this board? The same way that we had Baker Tilly, and then Senator Dalton was going to come on, and we chose to stay with who we appointed at the beginning of our year. Could we look into this?
And the
And
way
maybe
that, the
give
way
us
that
the
that was
information?
done, that the sanitary board and the water board are your own entity, just like the park board was.
I understand that, and that's kind of my
And-
question.
And what Billy's saying is how that happened in the middle of the
Not in
the
the
road.
middle of
and-
the
and,
stream.
you know,
Not only did it happen, we found out when we walked in here tonight.
Yeah, usually it's unusual. and-
You
yeah,
usually wait
nothing-
to the end of the
nothing
year
with
or the
Robinson,
beginning
but
of the
it's
year
unusual
to make them
change
transfers.
Contracts in the middle of a year. You know, usually it's done at the first of the year, you know that.
There's
Council-
certain things.
Council's always said contracts.
There are certain
January.
things, and especially in my other position, not involving St. John, that should have been addressed before I am looking at work done by another engineering company, which I have ties to. So whatever emails were sent amongst whoever, I'd like to have them forwarded to me. I'd like to have them forwarded where it said that no one has to address this board or ask this board about changing our engineering firm. And I like those as soon as possible.
Yeah, maybe at least some correspondence would have been appropriate. You know, if that's come from the council or whatever, saying that due to certain reasons, you know, we feel that the engineering should be changed in the middle of the year. You know, some.
Well, it worked the same way
something
with,
like that. I
worked
mean-
the same way with the accountants. That
This is ridiculous. And with that, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by aye.
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 Motion carried.